Here is a question. 1,000 years ago, China was bigger, richer, and more stable than Europe. But in the end, big did not win. Today's video might change how you think about that.
If you were living around the year 1500 and someone asked you to bet on who would shape the future of the world, you probably wouldn't choose Europe. You would choose China. A unified empire, over 100 million people, a highly centralized bureaucracy, one of the largest economies on Earth at the time, and Europe? It was chaos. Hundreds of kingdoms, duchies, and city-states packed together, constantly fighting and competing with no unified center. If history were a game of stability, China had already won. But that's not the game. History turned out to be. Because over the next few centuries, it wasn't the large, stable empire that reshaped the world, it was the fragmented, chaotic, and competitive Europe. We usually explain this with a simple idea. China was big, so it became centralized. Europe was small, so it became competitive. But that explanation is too shallow. The real point is this: big and small are not strengths or weaknesses. They are two completely different survival strategies, and each one comes with a cost. Let's start with China. China's scale was not accidental. Its core region is a vast, continuous agricultural plain shaped by major river systems like the Yellow River and the Yangtze. This kind of geography is ideal for large-scale agriculture and for unified governance. Once unified, scale becomes power. A larger population means a more stable tax base, more labor, and more internal demand. More importantly, it creates a system that can sustain itself, an economy that does not rely heavily on external trade to survive. Scale also brings resilience. For most of history, no single external force could permanently replace a unified Chinese empire. Even after invasions or collapse, the system often rebuilt itself. But scale has a cost. The larger the system, the more expensive it is to maintain. It must coordinate vast regions, manage internal differences, and constantly prevent fragmentation. Once established, its primary goal becomes stability. And when stability becomes the priority, change becomes risks. Now look at Europe. Europe's fragmentation was not accidental either. Mountains, rivers, and coastlines divided the continent into many smaller regions. Long-term unification was extremely difficult. Historical figures like Charlemagne and Napoleon Bonaparte tried to unify Europe, but none succeeded in building a lasting system. So Europe remained divided. But that division created something powerful: constant competition. If you are a small state surrounded by rivals, you must do three things to survive. You must trade because your resources are limited. You must innovate because your neighbors are improving. And you must attract talent because people can leave for better opportunities elsewhere. If you fall behind, you disappear. This pressure never stops. Over time, it turns change into a necessity, not a choice. But competition also has a cost. European history is filled with war. From the medieval period to the early modern era, conflict was constant. Many technological and institutional advancements emerged under the pressure of survival. Progress was real, but its driving force was often necessity, not idealism. Before the 18th century, both systems worked. China had scale, stability, and long-term order. Europe had competition, adaptation, and constant change. Different paths, different strengths. The real turning point came with the Industrial Revolution. It was not just a technological shift, it was a new way of organizing society, built on capital, efficiency, and continuous innovation. And this new system aligned closely with the competitive structure Europe had developed over centuries. This does not mean China suddenly failed. It means that a system optimized for the agricultural world was not designed for an industrial one. When the environment changed, Different structures adapted differently. So this is not a story about superiority. It is a story about fit. Scale provides stability and resilience. Competition drives change and innovation. In a slow-changing world, stability matters more. In a fast-changing world, adaptability becomes critical. And this question is not just about the past, it still exists today. As the world moves faster and faster, which system has the advantage? A larger, more stable one, or a smaller, more flexible one? History has given us different answers at different times. What it has never given us is a final one.